Today we will be learning a lot of vocabulary mostly, but vocabulary that has to do with like question words, adverbs, things like that. You'll see. And as a bonus, we've got some clothing vocabulary we'll learn too. Okay, so you might remember these words like ahkia, or tlen, or kanin, keman, genke, keski. So if you don't remember these, that's okay. You'll get more practice with these today. But ahkia means who. Like ahkia inin tlakatl. Who is this man? Tlen inon. What is that? Kanin titztok. Where are you? Keman, like keman tiwalas. When are you coming? Kenke ashtiwala. How come? Why don't you come? Keski, like keski ipati. How much? Like how much is it? Okay, so here's a little clue for all those. So let's look at some words related to ahkia. Ahkia is the question that means who. But if we're not saying the question, if we're saying someone, that's the word akahia. So see how they're somewhat similar. Akahia is someone. Ahkia weli, whoever. From the word weli, which means to be able to do something. And ahkia, which means who. So whoever can, think of it in that sense. Whoever can is the same thing as whoever. And then no one is ash aka. From the word ash, like ashkana, and aka, which means someone. Ashaka, no one. So se akahia would be one person, one someone, literally one someone. Ahkia weli and ashaka, no one. And there's nothing special to these. You just put them in the front of the sentence to make a sentence, to make any phrase you want. So ashaka walas, no one's gonna come. Who do you want to come? And I could say ahkia weli, whoever. I could say someone took my pencil, right? Se akahia kikwik notlikul. Words that have to do with tlen. Tlen meaning what? We have tlenweli, which means whatever. It's not whatever like oh, I don't care, whatever. It's whatever, like whatever thing, right? So use whatever you need in order to do your homework. So that's whatever thing. Sesen means each and every one. So remember the word se, which means one. It's also pronounced sen originally. So we have sesen, which means each and every one. It's reduplicating it. So each and every one, like every single one. So each and every kid is gonna get a book today, something like that. Nochi, which means all or everything. All of them, everyone. That's nochi. If you're talking about people, you could say nochime to give it that me ending. Otherwise, you could just say nochi. Nikneki nochi, I want everything. Ashtlen, literally meaning not something, not a what. So not a what does that mean? It means nothing. Ashtle, nothing. Ashnikneki ashtle, I don't want nothing. One little caveat about the word tlen and how to pronounce in the Huasteca is that almost every single village created their own variation of the word tlen. Some say tlen. If you're talking about outside the Huasteca, it's very similar. They'll say tlenon or tlinon. Or tlin, yeah, mostly tlenon or tlinon. You'll hear those outside of the Huasteca. With the original form being something like tlen. But in the Huasteca, we have all these different ways to pronounce it. There's just variations, just for fun. For whatever reasons, there's different ways you could say it. And for the most part, you'll be understood with any of those. So tlen, I think, is the most neutral one, but there's a lot of variation. So here they are. They all mean the same thing. They all mean what? And so it's tlen, tlechketl, tlachketl, tleche, tlache, tlenketl, tlanketl, tlanya, and tlaya. So, yeah, those are different forms. Kanin, location word. Kanin is the question, where? And the answer would be kampa, right? Kampa is where, but in not the question form. Like, I'll go where the flowers are. Okay, so that would be kampa. Nias kampa onka xochitl. Wherever, kampa weli. So if you'll notice by now, we're just adding the word weli onto everything. Kampa weli. Sekanahya means some place, a place. Kampa, so that's the kampa I just talked about. Ashika means nowhere, nowhere. Ashika, nowhere, at no place. Nikan, nopayo, nepa, neka. We've covered this in a different video, but these are the words for here, there, way over there, and over there where I can't see it. It's not in view. Kakaahko and kakatlani. Kakaahko means up there. Kakatlani, down there. Other varieties will say something like ahkopan, up there. And tlatzintlan for down there. There they are. And tlalchi, on the ground. So you'll be able to make lots of sentences using these words related to the word kanin. Time. Keman, when. Ashkeman, be not when, which means never, never. Reduplication, kehkeman, means how often, how often. Kemanihki, kemanihki, from the word keman plus iuki, or pronounced ihki. Kemanihki means when exactly. Like, when exactly are you going to come? Ayikana, not yet. Ayohkana, not anymore. Naman, right now, or today. Namansin, right now. Niman, soon. Nimansin, real soon. Kenke, why? The answer is because would be pampa. Kenke ashkana titlakwa, why aren't you eating? Pampa ashni mayana, because I'm not hungry. A rude way would be ashkenke, which means literally not why, which means it doesn't matter. Ashkenke means don't matter. It don't matter. Maybe related to this, you could say tla, which means if. So if this, then this. If. Keski, how much? How much do you want? Nochi, all of it. Achitzin, a little bit. Central varieties will say tepitzin, but notice how they both have tzin at the end to indicate the smallness, the few amount. Gentzin is another way of saying a little bit. And you have achi or achitzin and gentzin. So achitzin means a little bit, and gentzin means more, even smaller, even more exaggerated, very, very small amount. So gentzin's more exaggerated form of very little. Achiok means a little bit more. This is how you say more or a little more. Ashmas and ashmero, these are a mixture of Nahuatl and Spanish, and they mean not too much, not that much. So not that much. Chene is unique to some parts of the Huasteca, and it means way too much. Way too much. Overwhelmingly too much. Kenihki, words with kenihki, which means how. Kenihkatik means what color. Kenihkatik. Ashkenihki, that means it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Ashkenihki, it don't matter. Kene, like that. Que nopa, like that. Que ni, like this. Ihki, like so. So that could mean like this or like that. Ihkinon, like that. Ihkinin, like this. So there's a lot of ways to say like this and like that. Ihkinon, ihkinin, que ne, que nopa. Okay, so those are our adverbs, our words related to our question words. So now let's look at some clothing words. Yoyomitl. Yoyomitl. Like, ¿qué mantihkovas yoyomitl? When are you gonna buy clothes? Clothes. Yoyomitl is any kind of clothes. Kotomitl. Kotomitl is specifically a shirt. Some places in Mexico, not even Nahuatl towns necessarily, used to wear something called a coton. And so this is a long shirt that indigenous men used to wear. Kind of looks like a modern day shirt, except the front was very long and it was wrapped around with a belt around people's waist. Called a coton in Spanish, and cotomitl in Nahuatl. Pantalon. Pantalon. Obviously, pants are not a native concept, so they're not going to have a native word. Pantalon. But they are pronounced in the Nahuatl way. It's not pantalon, but pantalon. Cuetl. Cuetl is a skirt. Cuetl. Tecactli. Tecactli. Tecactli would be for any sandals. Sandals or shoes, footwear. Tecactli. Tzon ecawili. So this is a sombrero. It might look like a. So tzon means a sombrero, a hat. Now it might look like a long word, but you can break it up. So tzon has to do with things that have to do with your head, the top part of you. And eka from ehekatl, which is wind. And ekawili is shade. So literally your head shade is your hat. Tzon ekawili. To put it on, you could have the word tlalwilia and kentia. Kentia comes from the word kemitl, which means another way of saying clothing or cloth or fibers, cloth fibers, clothing. So literally, you could say, I'm putting on clothes. I'm clothing myself. That's what kentia means, to clothe yourself. Tlalwilia comes from the word tlalia, which means to place something down on the ground. So when you say nimo tlalwilia, you're saying I'm placing it on myself. So there are both two ways you could say I'm putting on. So I'm putting on a hat. Nimo tlalwilia tzon ekawili. Or nimo kentia would be I'm clothing myself. Okay, that's it for today. Tlaskamati no chime. Any questions or comments? Post them down below. Anything else you'd like to see in these series? Feel free to let me know. Tlaskamate.